Small town. Damn, that's you strictly. Small town. Damn, that's you strictly.
Ladies and gentlemen, I survived a legitimate snow day. Jaden Daniels could be as clutch as it gets for a rookie quarterback. Ohio State head coach is focused on the days ahead, and we are back to give you the real in sports. I'm your co-host, Small Town EP, joined by Wade Julian live from New York City. Big Kev Shotted joins us once again live from South Florida, and you are now tuned into your number one sports talk show on the All Things Sports Network, brought to you by Small Town Productions. Ticker up top, as always, brought to you by ESPN Bet. Fellas, great to see you. June, I know you got a little bit of that snow after it hit Atlanta. I'm glad to see that you are all well and gravy. Kev, good to have you back. Love the Dominican flag in the back. Shout out to all my Latinos and all my Hispanics. And Feliz Dia de los Reyes. That was a couple days ago, but shout out to all my Latinos and Hispanics.
Thanks.
I mentioned Ryan Days. Ohio State will be in the championship game against Notre Dame and the group led by Ryan Freeman. Gentlemen, I've said you can't win games by not scoring for half the game. And it was true for teams like Indiana, SMU, Tennessee, Boise State. I mean, the list kind of goes on. Georgia didn't score for half the game. Penn State just lost against Notre Dame, didn't score for half the game. Texas just lost to Ohio State, didn't score for half the game. We saw a lot of blowouts in those first couple of rounds in the college football playoff. June, which team did you not expect to get blown out the way that they did?
Well, as you mentioned, EP, you survived a snow day. Let's kind of take a step back here because I this is big news. Like Atlanta really had a snow day. You know what I'm saying? And I was looking on Twitter. You guys were acting a fool. You might lose me here in a second. If you do, give me 1 second.
We'll work on getting June back. But yes, to allude to June, Atlanta, I think we do have June back now. We'll work on getting June back. Atlanta did have a snow day. I mean, they were forecasting it for like a week ahead of schedule. And I moved up here last year in the fall, going into the winter, and they had promised us some snow last year. It got very cold. It dipped down to like 12 degrees, but we just didn't get no humidity, didn't get no precipitation. So this year they were announcing it, Kevin. I was like, I mean, maybe we'll see. Like it'd be nice. It'd be kind of cool. But I wasn't really, banging on it. So Friday morning, I wake up at like 7:30, turn over to my missus. I'm like, you think it started snowing yet? And she was like, probably not. And then it was like a movie. She was like, probably not. And then she gets up, and she looks out the window, and all I hear is, "Oh shit!" And I hop out of bed. We got June back. I hop out of bed like, what happened? Like mummy style, hop out of bed type shit. Like, what happened? Run to the window, and I'm like, oh shit, it's snowing. Like, it's not flurries. It's not like the ground is covered in snow. I can't see the road from the balcony. Like, it is snowing. City shut down. I know in years past they had to borrow salt trucks from other cities. Since then, Atlanta has, kept up with the times, and they have a couple of salt trucks that, to their disposal. Snow's melting now. Like, there's still, little ice on the ground. We're in that ugly stage where it's just dirt and snow. I know
Hmm.
June know
Hmm.
exactly what the fuck I'm talking about.
Hmm.
But man, hey, it was cool. I've been in snow. I've gone to New York while it snowed, but I've never lived snow. I've never had to travel 45 minutes while there's snow on the ground, looking at trees and shit. We went to pick up a new vehicle that we just purchased, so shout out to us. So it was cool, man. It was a sight to see. I made a snow angel for the first time. Won't do
Look
it
at
again. Won't do it again, but I did it. I
that.
did it once.
You learn that snow is wet, brother. But it is something to see when you wake up and it's a after a snow day, like after a snowy night, like waking up to that. I think like the light just shines a little brighter. You're like, holy shit! I mean, it's a lot of snow, and it's like untouched. It's pretty cool. So I'm sure Mercedes was she was having a good time there,
Nah, for
just
sure, for
kind of
sure.
looking out the window like, whoa, I want to go outside and see what's up with this.
And we
But
absolutely did. My dog got his first snow day. It was cool, man. It was cool.
I do want to go back. I apologize to the viewers. We were talking about the college football semifinal. Am I
Yeah,
hearing that correctly?
before we get into that, I was talking about how you can't go scoreless for half the game. Mentioned the teams in the playoff that went scoreless. They all during half the game, they all lost. We saw a lot of blowouts in those first
Yeah.
couple of
Yeah.
rounds. And I asked you, June, which team did you not expect to get blown out in the fashion that they did?
Okay. Well, the obvious answer is Oregon. Like you don't expect the number one team to go to the Rose Bowl after such a great season with the Heisman, candidate at quarterback and just a bunch of stars on that team. A lot of talent. Great coach. Shout out to Dan Lanning on a hell of a season they had this year. Just, I guess, we talked about it last show about them kind of finally running into that test and then, them running out. But we didn't, or at least I didn't expect to see it like this. And 41-21 looks even better on paper because this game was as far away from 41-21 as you could imagine. Like, I thought the score was maybe 41-7. Like I didn't even realize they scored three times. It didn't seem that way. And what Jeremiah Smith was able to do to that defense, um, it really showed that uh, at any given moment,
A bride nigga can
football
run it
can
up.
go.
That's what it
Yeah,
showed.
yeah, yeah. There you go. But in football, you can get your ass kicked. If you're not ready for it. So that was the one that I was mostly shocked by.
Yeah, I think I mean, yeah, that's the obvious answer. I think Boise State, the way they lost, I thought the way they played Oregon earlier in the season, I thought that they would go down with a little bit more of a fight, but Penn State played a good football game against them. The other one I would say the opposite is I was surprised that Arizona State kept it as close as they did with Texas.
Well,
I
that
thought,
was that motivational game, man. That was
yeah,
you got scat and you got a quarterback who talks shit
yeah.
about and he don't like Quinn Ewers. You could tell. It's like he don't like him. So there was a lot of passion in that game. We got an amazing game. That was a double overtime game, right?
Yeah. Yep.
That was
So
a good one.
yeah, those are the two games that I think. Obviously, aside, I thought Ohio State, Oregon. Like I said, I thought the winner of that. I thought that was the national championship game. In my mind, that the winner of
Yeah.
that game, I thought would win the national championship. I thought it would be a much closer game than it was, especially since the last time they played it was a 1 point game. So,
Yeah.
thought that would definitely be a much closer game than it was. But just to play devil's advocate, I'd say the those other two games were uh, we only had like two really. decent games this whole
Yeah,
college football playoff.
and
It's
that's part
been
of the new playoff system. You know, you're going to get 12 teams that deserve a chance to compete for it, but aren't necessarily, skilled enough to beat the top of the cream of the crop. But it's also like giving that top four, top five teams that can really, really win it that season the gauntlet. Like there's a little ways to earn this, and you don't just get here and play one game and you're in the championship and now you win the championship, which we celebrated that for a while. But I think times have come to a point where we're like, yeah, we want to see if more competition will shake something up. And we can't say that it hasn't, right? Um, this was definitely something that Oregon didn't benefit from because they're sitting there like, bitch, we went if we went one net last year, we would have just, and granted they would have had to play one game, not to say they would have just got to the national championship, but I think having them sit out a bye, and that's kind of some an adjustment. Ohio State getting to kind of find their feet after losing and just gaining all this momentum. It's like shit, but I that's the part of it that I like.
so this is year one of the playoff, obviously, but with year one comes history and comes stats. So going into next year, the talk is going to be how the team with a bye week in the first college football playoffs went 0-4. So all four
Mm.
teams with a bye week ended up losing. So that will definitely be the discussion
Miami's gonna
going
win
into
the
next.
ACC next year, and we're gonna have the bye week, and we're gonna lose in the first round, in the second round. I can smell it, Kev. I hear what you're saying, loud and clear, brother.
So lose to Clemson, get high enough where you can't be debated and you're in. Lose to Clemson, and then you go
Oh
on your run.
man. Then we
That's the
gotta
key.
hope. Then we gotta hope the committee gives us a ticket. Oh please, it's not gonna work.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You gotta be high enough. You gotta
That's the
buy
trick,
yourself enough
bro.
real estate earlier in the season to get to the ACC
We do
championship
have a
game.
tough schedule though. We got Notre Dame to start off the year. We got a couple games in
Mm.
there next year. So
And Notre
um
Dame is gonna want that
Or
get back.
or
and
we
Notre Dame EP.
yeah, no, I was gonna say, or you take the Notre Dame route this year and you lose to like Western Montana or something early in the year,
Right,
and then
early
just
as fuck.
win out.
We cannot lose to Bethune Cookman. Get the fuck out of here. And also, this will be Notre Dame coming off of, dare I say it, their national championship win coming to Miami.
Mm.
And so we'll talk about it. Let's talk about
Yeah, nah,
Notre
for
Dame,
sure.
Penn State, perhaps.
Yeah, absolutely. In the see, I know you guys love stats, right? The stats that I give. So in the second coldest ever Orange Bowl, Notre Dame comes out on top 27 to 24 against Penn State at the Hard Rock Stadium. Kev, what did you see from this Notre Dame team? I mean, we had their backup Steve Angeli come in and, go 6 for 7, 44 yards, put them in field goal range to cut their deficit from 10-0 to 10-3 just before halftime. Kev, what else did you see from this Notre Dame team that, like June's alluding to, shows you that they are championship caliber and will be holding up that trophy on the 20th later this month?
Well, I think their secondary is probably the best in the country. Uh, Either probably, funny enough, either them or Ohio State. Uh, Especially with Caleb Downs in the secondary for Ohio State. Uh, but as far as Notre Dame goes, I think just their corners are elite, and they just play defense. The defense kept them in it, and I think they really take on the attitude of their coach at the end of the day. Like I think he has been the driving force in all of this, and the way things have turned around for Notre Dame. Not to say they were bad, but they just weren't at this level of we're in a national championship game since Manti Te'o. So I think they take on his attitude more so than anything. I think that's the biggest thing is he just seems like a coach that will never let you stop until the final whistle blows. And he's I just think the team takes on that attitude.
Yeah, I agree. And if I could just get in my Tony Reale bag real quick, shout out to those who know. Uh, you did say Ryan Freeman. It's Marcus Freeman. I know it was just an honest mistake because we were talking about Coach Day. I just thought it was funny. I know Kev peeped it too. Uh, and I don't know why that randomly came back to me just now. But
Thank you, thank you.
of course. Man, for me, Notre Dame was able to withstand the storm. Like to Penn State kind of, had things going. Their offense was able to move, and then it got to a point right before the half where things kind of got tight. And then for me, that's when Notre Dame started to just play a little more freely. Riley Freeman, shout out to him. He's one of those guys that, he's like a Daniel Jones 2.0, if you will, right? But like in college, um, you know that you're going to get the toughness, you know that you're going to get the leadership, you know you're going to get someone that's going to give their effort all game. I don't know what these smirks are. They're killing me off. I don't know if this is
It's
So,
if it's
it's
regarding Riley Freeman.
yeah.
Right,
Yeah, we are on. It's Riley Leonard. We are
it's
on.
Riley
bro.
Leonard. Riley
Bro.
Freeman is from the Blue Duck.
bro. Hey, y'all gonna let me go? I'm like, yo, Riley Freeman do sound kind of black. Shout out to Riley Freeman and Riley Leonard. Jesus Christ. And shout out to DY3 in the chat, bro. He said that the way that they slowed down the trenches after Penn State dominated them the week before. Um, oh man, yeah. if I could find my footing here, that was. I see y'all smiling at me. I'm just like, what's going on right now? All right, so Riley Leonard, though, as tough as they come, and he doesn't. He threw a pick, but he limits his mistakes typically, and he capitalizes on when the defense breaks down as well. And so, as Kev mentioned, they've got two good corners out there, great corners out there that can really stop things in man coverage, and it made it tough for Aller. Uh, Tyler Warren, what concerns me about him, like going forward in the draft, is that he's not the most dynamic tight end when it comes to getting off of man coverage. He does his work in the zone coverage, sit in the middle of the field, which is not a big issue because a lot of teams, sit in zone. But when you have that one-on-one matchup, your tight end, you look at Kelsey, the best tight ends in the league. You look at Kelsey, you look at Kittle, you look at Laporta. These guys are winning their one-on-one matchups, and that's going to be something he needs to, I guess, add on to his game. And it could have helped. It could have helped a little more here, but it is what it is. I think it was pretty funny seeing Drew Aller kind of slumping in his chair after Notre Dame picked up like a late first down. And he kind of slumped over and he's like, damn, bro, as if it was like, man, just give me one more chance, please. And they punt the ball, and now he throws an interception 2 plays later. It's like, you can't make this shit up. Shout out to Notre Dame. I'm excited to see what they're going to do, rallying behind their coach who's playing his alma mater. So that's one of those storylines to look out for.
Oh wow, I didn't know that. That's going to be great. All right, man. So let's take it back to Friday night when we saw Ohio State and the Texas Longhorns battle it out. Once again, I mentioned earlier on. Are we good?
No, we are. I just thought about the Riley Freeman shit.
Oh man. No, you good. You good. We saw Ohio State and the Texas Longhorns in the Cotton Bowl, where Jack Sawyer strips Texas quarterback Quinn Ewers, who's also his former roommate, returned the fumble 83 yards for the clinching touchdown. Ohio State has a chance to win their 6th national championship. Now, June, this game, like I said, Texas didn't score for half the game, and that's obviously not a recipe for success. What else did you see out of Texas that made you feel like they kind of just gave the game up?
Yo, I don't know why. But real tears, bro. Real tears. Hey man, the defense. What I saw was the defense. That pass rush and the run stop defense. From- oh, oh shit. That's some funny stuff right there. And I appreciate y'all, man. Cause a good laugh like that, you need one of those. This is the
Straight
first good
up.
laugh like that of the new year. I'm gonna get back to the point. The defense that I saw from Texas, the pass rush, the run stopping, was what I expected and why I thought they were going to win the game. Ohio State, they were able to. I wouldn't even say withstand it. I think Kev still done. I think the play at halftime, really changed everything, and that was the winner for Ohio State. Texas figured it out. Texas, Texas, Texas figured it out. This is so bad. I'm so sorry, y'all. But Texas figured it out, and unfortunately, they just let up a huge play. And dynamic big plays are part of winning. And so we don't want to take away from Ohio State as far as like, oh, if it wasn't for that screenplay. I mean, it was a great call, right? It was a great call at a great time with nothing to lose, and it worked. So Chip Kelly looks like a genius after it's all said and done. But um, I just because offensively, Texas they they had to get it as they could. You know what I mean? Like those two wheel routes that they threw, they saw it work. They're like, we're going right back to this. If they're playing man again, we have to attack that because we don't really have much else. Receivers weren't getting much separation. Uh, Quinn Ewers couldn't make every throw, and so plus guys like Jack Sawyer, getting pressure back there. It was just too much. However, like I said, man, it was that play right before the half that really screwed it up for Texas, and I think killed their chances. Now, no, I can't. I have to retract from killed their chances. It just changed everything because first and goal at the 1 yard line is unacceptable. To lose by 2 touchdowns when you're down one on first and goal at the one, unacceptable. And so Sarkeesian has to face that music, and that offense has to face that music. The offensive line has to face that music. And so, why they didn't trust them to go four straight plays up the middle? I mean, try this. Like, I'm being a little funny here, but if Steve Sarkeesian can go to the field goal kicker in the quarterfinal before the game-winning kick and fucking get in his face like, hey, buddy, you know, good luck. Don't fuck this up. And give him whatever kind of pep talk he did. Why couldn't Steve Sarkeesian call a timeout or I don't know, rally the fucking troops, look at every offensive player in their face on that possession and say, guys, if you want to go to the fucking national championship, you get in the end zone. We're going to run this ball 4 times or whatever the call is. We're going to do this. I need y'all to be locked in. I can only make the call. Because if you're going to tell me that if Texas ran that ball 4 straight times up the middle that they don't score, I'll live with that. Same goes with Russell Wilson, right? We got one of the craziest plays in Super Bowl history because you want to get too cute. What did they do last 2 nights ago or whatever? They threw the ball backward. How you throw a sweep on the 1 yard line, bro? You throwing a sweep on one of the fastest defenses. How you gonna try to get to the edge on Ohio State? Okay, screwed that up. Well, guess what? It's third and goal. We have to get positive yards. Quarterback pressure. So is the offensive line can't pass block to protect, and they can't run block 1 yard to get in the end zone. No, you guys absolutely don't deserve to go to the national championship, and that's fine with me as a viewer because yeah, I think Ohio State could have really lost this game. There was a couple points in the game where they could have lost it, but they were the better team that night. They executed and they made the plays necessary. Texas, you gotta have some pride and want to just coach. It's fucking 1 yard. Can we run the ball 4 times? Can we get 1 yard? Can we get a yard or two push in the end zone so the running back can just can we try a QB sneak? I don't know, but screenplay and then two incompletions is or one incompletion, a strip sack, return fumble for a touchdown. You can't make stuff like that up. Kev, what you think about that ending?
Unserious football.
That
Yeah, I mean,
I can't even laugh no more because I just kind of thought about how dumb that was.
yeah, they I mean, like you said, you get first and goal at the one down 7 in the fourth quarter. You're expecting the only question should be, are we going for one or two? It shouldn't be how are we getting the ball in the end zone. You got 4 chances to get the ball in the end zone from the 1 yard line. Just put punch it up the middle every time. You're not working against the clock. You don't have anything to that you. There's no reason for you not to try it 4 times and get 1 yard. So just they got too cute and that run to the outside. I mean, he had no shot. There was 3 defenders there ready to take him down. So you lose 7 yards on second down. Now you're backed up to 3rd and 8 or 3rd and goal from the 8, incomplete pass, and then fourth down. Sawyer gets around the edge, and uh, yeah, I mean, he and Caleb Downs to me are the biggest difference makers in college football right now. Is on the defensive side of the football. Like Caleb Downs is everywhere on the field. Jack Sawyer seemed to be in the backfield almost every other play. So just watching those two guys work, and then I think Jeremiah Smith had 1 catch for 3 yards. Is that right? Um,
It was either 3 or 8, yeah, but he did only have one grab.
but yeah, so 1 catch for 3 yards. And you win 28-14. They took away your best offensive weapon, and you were still able to come away with the win. So, very impressive win for Ohio State because they're showing you that they can beat you by scoring 40, or they can beat you by just playing defense
All right, but like
and
Kev, like
making you.
it's so fresh, and I'm not arguing that. It's right, they won. But does that happen 9 times out of 10? They could have won still if Texas scored, right? Uh, matter of fact, was
Yeah,
it a yeah? They was down 7,
yeah.
so we don't know what we would have gotten. Maybe another double overtime game or whatever the case. And if if was a if was a fifth, yeah.
We'd all
But
be drunk.
it's like to me that finish it goes way more of a long way than just Jack Sawyer looking like the MVP, which credit to him. However, I just poor execution in that moment. I don't think we see that from too many others. That was just meltdown stuff. That wasn't like Ohio State showed and like, oh, goal line stand. Like that was just like, yo, what are we watching, bro? What are y'all doing? And so for me, that still leaves me a little unsettled when I think Ohio State can beat Notre Dame with Notre Dame's elite defense and their running ability with Jeremiah Love. And so that's why I just cut you off when you mentioned they can beat you scoring 40. They can beat you in the defensive game as well, which they did. Yeah, but I don't know if that looks the same versus another opponent that played that game. That's just crazy to me that they melt, like that.
Mm. Yo, I want to kick it over to the chat. Shout out to DY3 fucking with us. I don't know why Daniel Jones caught a stray in the chat. We haven't even talked about the Giants. And if it wasn't for the comment, we wouldn't talk about the Giants because they're not in the playoffs. But let's take it to the NFL where we've had a pretty exciting wild card round thus far. Saturday afternoon, Jim Harbaugh, Justin Herbert's first season together ends in the wild card round, 32-12 on the road in Houston, a game in which they were favorites on the road. Justin Herbert threw 3 interceptions all regular season and threw 4 of them things in 60 minutes of play. Kev, was this more of a Houston win or a Chargers loss?
I think it was both. Just watching the game, it was such a slow start for both teams, and it felt like the Chargers could have put Houston away several times,
Yeah.
and and Texans just stayed in it long enough to be able to withstand it and answer back and take the momentum. And it was during that game I texted you guys the scramble from Stroud where he on third down and long where he it's a broken play and he scrambles to the right and finds open man for a first down. I texted you guys right after that and I was like, that's the type of play that could change the game right there.
Yep.
And sure enough,
Yep.
they come down and they score. And from then on, it was all Houston. So uh, yeah, I just think the Chargers. I mean, credit to the Chargers for being in this position. We didn't expect them to have this type of season, uh, and this is year one under Jim Harbaugh, and we saw what he did in San Francisco. It didn't take him a season to get there, but you could see the improvement right away in San Francisco also when he took over. So I think that's the team that's on the right trajectory. And Houston was here last year and looked good enough to be here again this year. 100-yard game from Joe Mixon. I know we talked about him having a good game. That would be key to Houston winning the football game, and that was true. And C.J. Stroud also played himself a good game as well. So look forward to what the Chargers do next year, especially Lad McConkey seems like this
Oh yeah.
type of
Pro Bowler,
uh Cooper Cup, Puka Nakua type of wide receiver. So it's fun to
LA
watch him.
vibes.
Yeah, it was fun to watch him grow throughout the season and get better and better every week. So I'm excited to see him and Herbert next year and then whatever they can bring in as well. So shout out to the Chargers.
Yeah. Chargers definitely lost this game. I mean, shout out to DY3. He said Houston tried to get a game away and the Chargers gave it away. I mean, this was a charity event, basically. Um, Kev said it. There were multiple times where we're like, all right, Justin Herbert, he about to. Oh, what? Wait. So I need some explaining done because when I was looking at the stats, I watched the game and I box score checked. So it's okay. I watched the game. But like, I'm thinking, damn, they only ran the ball. I don't have the exact number if someone wants to pull it up, but they only ran the ball for like 50 yards as a team. And I think it was like 9 carries and 7 carries, something like that, between the two, Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins. And I'm like, it's hard to run. I was like, it is hard to run when you're down. They did lose 32. But the game wasn't away. It wasn't away for the most of the game. And they just went away from their game plan. And 14 of 32, no matter, and 4 interceptions, no matter how many drops and interceptions off drops, it's not good enough. Now, that's just part of football being a team sport, you know. Unfortunately, one of those picks that was off a drop, I think, got returned to the house. It wasn't the Chargers' day, but they just didn't show up to be who they are at all. Because if we're talking about like we mentioned in the quarterfinals, what game that we saw that was a blowout that we were surprised about, this would be my answer here. They were favored on the road. And we talked about it too. Joe Mixon's going to have a good game if they want to win this game.
Yeah.
And he had 100 yards and a touchdown. And it was just 106 yards, but it was timely yards. It was big first downs, right? It was chunk plays when they needed them. And it also was just a boost of energy and toughness brought to the game that I don't think LA brought or reciprocated, I should say. So 12 points for this team is very underwhelming, and less than 20 carries, less than 25 carries from their running backs is just like, you got to wonder what made Harbaugh go away from that, Kev.
And yeah, to that point, Dobbins had 4 carries for 16 yards on their first drive, and Edwards had 2 carries for 10 yards, I believe, on their or 11 yards actually on their second drive. So from that
That's
point
like
on,
70% of their yards.
they each had 5 carries for the rest of the game. So they didn't really run the ball much. And at that point, they're also up 6-0. So
It's what I didn't understand, and so it didn't get away. And it was I saw some quit. We Daniel and I talked about this in the chat. We both was like, "Yo, Chargers quit," and then he was like, "Oh shit, never mind," because McConkey scored real quick. But it was like, nah, that was McConkey is not gonna quit. He didn't quit. I'm not gonna put that on him. And I'm not saying every guy on the Chargers quit, but there was a team out there that was playing for themselves, and there was a team out there that was just going through the motion of the rest of the game, as opposed to let's put a drive together defensively where we get one stop at a time and try to help our quarterback who's thrown 4 interceptions today. And sometimes bro, he didn't do that all year. And again, they were not all his fault, but he didn't make every good throw. He didn't do everything he needed to do on his end for you to look at him and say, well, this is on everybody else. No, Justin Herbert, this is a big playoff loss on your belt that you were responsible for just as much as everybody else on the team. So with that being said, guys quit. You could see it, and it's just like, all right, I mean, this is what we get. I mean, what were we, 32-12. CJ Stroud for a game that didn't look like a good game. I mean, he had a good game. He had a good
Yeah.
game.
Yeah, he did. He did. Houston advances to divisional round against
And
Kansas.
Daniel says it seemed like he said the Chargers underestimated them, called it a bye week before the game, didn't look prepared at all. Rex Ryan did say they got a bye. And also he said that they seemed like they wanted to put it in Herbert's hands. And that's a problem because to me, you don't go away from what got you here. And this looked like the 2023 Chargers
Mm.
more so than the 2024 Chargers. This looked like the 2022 Chargers more so than this is the Chargers that lost a 30-0 lead in the playoffs to Jacksonville. Kind of meltdown, kind of bad performance. When all season the identity has just been new culture, new vibes, new locker room, run the damn ball. I don't see why you would want to put the ball in your quarterback's hands when he doesn't even have two competent wide receivers on his team. No disrespect.
Mm. Houston advances to the divisional round to play Kansas City this weekend, a game in which we will preview on Thursday. Hey, I'll tell you what, losing in the wild card round probably beats NCAA sanctions and suspensions and a whole bunch of other stuff. So I think Jim Harbaugh is all right. And hey, they say it's the best of times, it was the worst of times. The worst of times being Jim Harbaugh. Let's move on to the best of times in the Harbaugh family, where John does execute with his Ravens against the Steelers, a tune of 28-14 at home. I talk about being scoreless for half the game, not being a winning recipe. Try scoreless for 3/4 of the game. Pittsburgh's 14 points all came in the third quarter. There's moments where, Lamar's getting the MVP chance. He's like, yo, shut up. I'm trying to close this game out right now, bro. Be quiet.
Somebody wake that Steelers offense up.
Yo, no cap. Where I don't even know what to ask you guys about this game. What did you see?
I saw.
Who cares?
Started off here. Look, you'll never win, whether it's Bill Cowher, Mike Tomlin, or any other great coach that comes before them in Steelers history. 299 rushing yards. There's nothing Russell Wilson could have did. There's nothing Justin Fields, George Pickens, Najee Harris could have did.
George Pickens.
There's nothing nobody could have did. The defense simply ran slap over. And they didn't come out with the same intensity they came out the last two times that these teams faced each other. This didn't look like AFC North football. This looked like the playoff wildcard matchup that the Ravens wanted over the lower seed that probably shouldn't be here. And it's crazy because I was singing a tune maybe 5 weeks ago or so that I was like, yo, but look, if this Steelers team gets to the playoffs, let's see what they can do against maybe like a Kansas City. They don't want to see them.
Yeah, that's before they dropped 5 out of the last 7, though.
Bitch, everybody want to see the Steelers. What? Steelers getting tagged like a paintball fucking barricade.
Hey, what Drake say? You at
Like,
the finish line. We can't wait to run into you.
yo, and I'm like, it's one thing to lose a hard fought game. It's one thing to, Lamar Jackson, he's the MVP, or Derrick Henry went off, but you let everybody go off. Everybody got a touchdown. Everybody got 100 yards. Like, what? And so for me, I'm not on the fire Mike Tomlin train. I see that this propaganda has arose. A lot of teams would love
Mm,
Coach Mike McDaniel. Excuse me, Mike McDaniel.
damn, we are
Fuck
on
Mike
one.
McDaniel. Fuck, get that name out of my damn vocabulary. But Mike Tomlin, if you look at Eric Spoelstra, I mean, granted, we've gone to the finals, you know what I'm saying, 2 times in the last 5 years. So we can't really compare it, but I can compare two great coaches who have had mediocre rosters, if not just above that, and have overachieved with them to the point where it's an illusion to everyone else. And it's kind of one of those grass ain't always greener. I mean, you could fire me. You think that he's gonna do what I did in this chair with this? Absolutely not. And that's what we see with the Steelers. And unfortunately, to me, their run. We'll get off the Steelers here because they the losing team in this one, but their run has been much like the Colts, where there's who's going to play quarterback next year, and when that's the question every single year, whether it's going to be a young rookie, whether it's going to be a veteran quarterback or the guy you've tried 3 years ago and you're going to try him again this year. I mean, that's been the Steelers thing. When they can figure that out, I have no doubt in my mind that Tomlin with not to say Russell Wilson isn't competent, but Russell Wilson is not who you want as your starting quarterback in 2025. So if they have that missing piece, they'd be fine. Otherwise, regardless, you don't fire Mike Tomlin based on, oh, we haven't had a playoff streak of 8 losses in the playoffs straight. Yeah, but you also wouldn't fucking win playoff games if he wasn't the coach. And hypotheticals, right? I could be totally wrong. Maybe their next hire is their best hire, and he shows me up. But history shows that what Tomlin has done for that franchise, not many others would have maneuvered the same way. That's just my point. Kev, what do you think about 299 yards on guys like Hayward, Highsmith, Watt, Queen,
I mean,
Finka, Minka, Fitz?
I I think it was probably the most impressive showing of any team in the first round. Um, just because of what you just said. Like, regardless of what the Steelers are, they're a great defense year in and year out. And giving up 299 yards on the ground alone, Derrick Henry having more rushing yards than Lamar Jackson had passing yards. That's not something that we've come to know from a Steelers defense with
Yeah.
those names that TJ Watts and Patrick Queen being added to your secondary in the offseason from Baltimore, by the way. Uh, Cam Hayward, like we're not used to seeing these guys get bullied and just outclassed completely. And that's what the Ravens did. And I think uh, out of everybody, it was the single most impressive looking football team that played this past weekend. They just looked like they looked like they didn't belong on the same field with Pittsburgh, and like in the good way. Like they looked class or two classes above the Pittsburgh Steelers on Saturday. So uh, as far as the Ravens go, and it's crazy to hear like the mainstream media say, "Well, I don't know if the Ravens can win a Super Bowl this way." Like when you've got Derrick Henry rushing for near 200 yards, you can 100%. The Ravens have never had a Derrick Henry Lamar Jackson tandem where it's if Lamar reads one thing, he's pulling the ball and he's gone. Uh, so you have to now account for the guy who's in the backfield next to him, and Lamar's never had that kind of guy, and I think we're seeing exactly what that kind of guy next to Lamar can do, and I'm just interested to see uh, what the game looks like this coming week when they head to Buffalo because I think that could be very interesting.
Hey, speaking of Buffalo, I don't know if you guys know this, but the average speed for a buffalo is 35 miles per hour, and the average speed for a horse is 55 miles per hour. But it seems that a buffalo can outrun a bronco, right?
Mm.
All right. 31-7. I mean, the Broncos scored once in the first quarter and, never saw the end zone again. Josh Allen, 210, not 261 yards, 20 for 26, 2 touchdowns to Bo Nix's 144. I mean, Denver's rushing 79 yards, Buffalo rushing 210. They got outplayed, out coached, outmaneuvered, as they say, the entire game. Kev, you got any highlights for this game, or do you guys just want to?
I mean, I just want to point out the fact that you said they scored once in the first quarter. They scored once on their first drive to go up 7-0, and then
And
and
looked
then the
back.
Bills realized that a football game started, and and it was pretty much over from there. No, but uh, I mean, an impressive show. Like I know I said it about the Ravens, but like that's why I think this game is so intriguing because it's just as impressive. I think the Ravens looked better, just overall because of who they faced. The Bills were not facing any joke of a defense either, and they still were able to put up 31 points. Uh, they the Bo Nix has looked good after the first few weeks of the season. He's had his ups and downs, but for the most part, he's looked like a quarterback who can easily throw for over 200 yards and also use his legs to cause some chaos. But didn't really see anything from that offense aside from that first drive, and that's credit to the Bills defense. So again, just very excited to see what the matchup looks like this weekend.
Yeah, I agree. It was a little underwhelming to see the struggles offensively for Denver, but in that same breath, I think Bo Nix still showed his ability to, like you said, he can throw for 200 yards, and I love his confidence. Right, I feel like when we watch Bo Nix, what we saw from weeks 1 through 10 or whatever was like, all right, he's a little jittery, he kind of just throws that ball, gets rid of it. He's cleaned that up and he looks way more comfortable in what he's doing. Now, execution, time is going to help that. And him making his reads and getting through his progressions, that all comes with time and also, better offensive line. But I think Denver should be proud of what they got out of him last night, um, going against, a Super Bowl contender, Super Bowl favorite type of team, and a defense who uh, has absolutely every wish to like, no, we can't let this look like a game. You know what I mean? Like we can't even let Denver be in our world with us as the Ravens tried to do offensively versus the Steelers defense. So um, it's just a credit to the Bills to me because, as Kev said, the Ravens to me put the most impressive performance out there, but the Bills are right there behind them. Like, yeah, we that was pretty fucking easy, And the Broncos defense is very good this season. The Steelers defense, obviously, we know them to be consistently good. We thought that we would have more more competition from that Steelers game. Um, but we see, what tier the Ravens and the Bills are on. And that's what Houston's going to find out about next week when they travel to Arrowhead and play those Chiefs. That's going to be a tough one over there. I'm excited to watch.
That is going to be an exciting game. Last time we saw Houston and Kansas City in divisional round, I lost money that day. Anyway, let's take it over to Philadelphia. They soar high over Green Bay. Dallas Goedert stiff armed a defender 3 times on the same touchdown catch. Bullied him. Bullied him. Hurts threw for a very, humble 131 yards, but did not hesitate. Showed poise throughout the entire game. Showed how he can lead this team to victory each and every time he is under helm. June last week, well, not last week, but Last pod, I asked you if it was Super Bowl or bust for the Eagles. You said yes. Does it look like they're going to make it to that last game?
They can make it. They can make it. I don't think they're gonna have to see the Lions until the NFC Championship. And let's just say this: by the time they have to face the Lions, let's hope that the offense looks like an offense. And if not, if what we see next week is more of the same, that's when you start to worry as far as this team goes, because you lost Dean, and I think that as a really impactful player, it's not going to kill you defensively. The Eagles have a bunch of guys over there, fast, get to the ball, pressure the quarterback, but they're only going to be as strong as your weakest link going forward, and time is going to tell that. So if Jalen Hurts can get it going, and I don't know if it was a little bit of rust missing a couple weeks, they didn't want him to throw as much, more design runs, more small ball, but there's absolutely no way they beat Detroit or even a Washington Commanders team who they saw beat them at the buzzer late in the season because of the firepower on offense, the ability to put points on the board. Granted, they only put 23 points up on the board yesterday, Washington, that is, against the Tampa Bay defense. But that was Jaden Daniels' first playoff game of his career, and he looked pretty sharp. So, as things get more comfortable, now Jaden Daniels got to play the Lions. So we know that's not going to go well for them. Ultimately, the Eagles need to prepare for the Lions and understand that they're going to have to score over 30 points to win that game.
Yeah.
At least prepare to score 30 points.
Packers never looked. I think the same way, like we talked about, the Chargers had a chance to put the Texans away. Like it felt like the Packers were sticking around, and I was just waiting for them to do something. It's like that meme where like you're poking the thing with the stick, and it's like, do something. Like, come on, do something. Like they're leaving the door open for you to walk through, and you're just standing there. And so that's the Packers offense never really felt like it could get going. Uh, Even when they pulled to, I think, to make it a one-score game, yeah, it was 16-10, and when they scored the touchdown. And it was just at that point, it just, even then, it felt like the game was over and Philly had it kind of locked in. So I think as far as Philly goes, that's another just interesting team because of everything you said. Like Lamar and Jalen Hurts threw the ball the same number of times, but the Ravens offense looked a lot smoother when they needed to throw the ball than the Eagles
Yep.
offense did. So,
Yep.
I mean, Jalen Hurts on the fake tush push, play action tush push,
He missed
touchdown,
bad.
touchdown, and he missed
bad.
it.
Lamar's throwing a touchdown. And I'm sorry, he called me a glazer. Listen, Lamar's making that fucking play. All I'm saying.
So yeah,
But not to glaze. I think in the same breath, Jared Goff's also making that pass. Baker Mayfield's also making that pass. Jaden Daniels also making that pass. It was a bad miss, is what Kevin's trying to say.
Right. So, and it's when you expect your starting quarterback of a 14-win team to make, especially in that scenario when you need him to make that throw. And it's, I mean, it was perfectly, it's infuriating, I'm sure, for the coach because it was a perfectly timed call and it worked perfectly, sold it perfectly. And just the execution on the back end was awful.
Yeah, he
and,
fooled me. I'm like, oh, she stumbled.
Yeah, it was almost similar to like the Detroit
the
Detroit
Detroit
play.
I imagine that's like a Dingleberg moment for them where they're like, yo, like the Lions just make it look so easy, bro. And it really isn't. It's clear as day, but the Lions, they really got that shit rolling.
Yeah.
Big trick plays.
Hey, man. Lions, they're one of those teams in the playoffs that I mentioned this a couple weeks ago that they like to let up points. I'm not saying they're gonna lose, but I think it'll be a shootout.
I got good news, EP. It ain't gonna start snowing in the Bay or raining in the Bay, so they're gonna be at home. They're gonna be in a dome.
And the Lions, like I I don't think enough people are talking about the fact that the Lions are down David Montgomery.
Well, I
Uh,
was wondering if he was going to come back. That was my thing. He's not going to be back for this game.
I don't know that he is. I think he's out for the season, if I'm not
I
mistaken.
I, I think there was a chance he was coming back. I'll look at that.
Before we do recap that Commanders game, what does it
On
say?
track to play.
Okay, okay, okay. Hey, I'll tell you what though, he can come back and play this season. But once that contract is up, that boy's getting shipped out of Detroit. But neither here nor there. Neither here nor there. We have the matchup in which the Eagles are waiting for a result starting very soon. I'm sure they're going through the the anthem and all those things. Minnesota Vikings, Los Angeles Rams, Minnesota. The game has been moved to Arizona, to Glendale, Arizona. So it's a neutral site game. Minnesota is the away team, the road team, and they are 2.5 point favorites in this duel. Whew. Kevin, does
Ain't no
Sam
home
Darnold
field.
continue
This Sam
or
Darnold
move
continue?
forward? Yeah, or move forward, I should say.
Uh, you
I
know,
know that's your guy right there.
I'm gonna say they don't. Uh,
Ooh.
I think the Rams right now are uh I don't know, just something about the Rams. Something about the Rams. They just don't feel like a team. It's gonna be a close game regardless, I think. But the Rams just feel like that team that every year, like you're like, why are they doing this? Like, what
Yeah.
makes them this good? And it just
Why
feels
aren't you
like,
tanking for picks?
yeah, like it's similar to Tomlin with the Steelers. Like it almost has that feel of like they're just going to be there every year as long as McVay is there. And obviously, Stafford is a big part of that. So if he, whenever he decides to retire, we'll see who steps in. But as far as it goes right now, like they just keep seeming to always be in that race when they're healthy. And I think Stafford against Darnold, we're gonna get an elite receivers matchup with Jefferson and Addison versus Cup and Nakua. So that'll be fun to watch. But just if you're talking to me about the quarterbacks that I have in a playoff game, I'm taking Stafford over Darnold, and that's my thinking for this
Yeah,
game.
I'm
I'm
not
not
mad
mad
at
at
that,
you.
bro.
Yeah, me
I'm
neither.
not
Me,
mad,
me
and
neither.
I kind of think the Vikings are gonna win here too. They played each other, and I think the Vikings had something to say about the ending of that game. It was like, "Yo, face mask, what's going on? We should get
Oh, I
another
forgot
chance.
about that.
That's fucked up." Well, it's a neutral site game. I'm sure Minnesota's going to travel pretty well.
They always
Obviously,
do.
LA got a bunch of fans in Arizona, and I'm
That's a
sure they
quick
got
drive.
some fans. Yeah, I think now's the time to make the money you got, Justin Jefferson. Show them why you are the best player on offense in this league, best skill position player. You got the contract. And it's not one of those things where it's harder than basketball, right? We could say go get us 40K. We need Justin Jefferson to go get us 130. Like we need him to go get us 130. And if he do his 130 with his one touchdown, hopefully two, you're doing your team a big favor here because Brian Brees, Jared Verse, sorry, not Brian Brees, Jared Verse, he's going to be attacking that quarterback over there. And they got some good guys, Cameron Curl, in the defensive backfield for LA. My thing is can the Vikings have enough? We want this bad enough. We want that payback in them because
Yeah.
it comes down to Kev's great point, the quarterback, and another great point, the coach. It's kind of hard to bet against them. So if I was putting my money on it, I would definitely go Rams. But I do think just my football fan, the inner, prideful competitor in me is like, nah, the Vikings got to win this game. Like y'all can't let them boys sun you twice, especially send you home this time. Y'all not even in there. Y'all got the home field advantage, disadvantage for them, and so do something with it. Is my point. Also,
Yeah.
Sam Darnold, it is your hold on, Sam Darnold, it is your moment right here. You are putting your resume to either laminate or bitch, it's gonna rain outside, and you put that shit up with the call me sticker, the little and now the rainstorm and got your ad. No, laminate that ad, put that shit, you know what I'm saying, and make everybody see what you made of.
Come on, Sam Donald. This is your rookie season of being good. Come on.
He's in his red shirt attempt.
Hey man, that's gonna be a good game. We're gonna tap into that. We're gonna start to wrap up the show, but before we do, we mentioned the Commanders game last night, and it just seemed to be a little too hot in the kitchen for the bake show. Commanders come out on top 23-20 on the road at Raymond James. June, what happened to the bake show yesterday?
It was some good defense being played on that other side of the ball, man. I mean, both teams only had 20 points, two touchdowns. Jaden Daniels had to get his second touchdown on a fourth and goal that, it was a second try on a fourth and goal and he had to convert and he did. But yeah, I think we just saw a good Commanders defense, right? Um and because he didn't throw an interception, correct? I don't think Baker Mayfield threw an interception. They had that fumble that they lost, and that was really the turning point of the game, if we're being honest. Uh, it was close all the way, but I feel like the Bucks with the home field, it was like they had the ball last kind of situation. They would be able to get the ball back and respond. But that turnover inside the 25, I mean, you're kind of giving up a free possession and not free touchdown because they still have to earn it, but that really set Washington up for gold. And it was just like, yeah, I mean, at this point, we haven't done enough all game to make it like, well, we're just gonna go and score now. No, they did enough to win with what they were doing and how their defense was playing. And for Jaden Daniels to have to go 75 yards but not make Jaden Daniels, run 3-4 plays and get the ball in. That's kind of just too easy for a rookie of the year candidate.
Jaden Daniels this year in the fourth quarter and overtime, including last night's game, has completed 72% of his passes, 14 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Kev, how clutch is Jaden Daniels at this point, giving Washington their first playoff win in what is it, 15 years?
Yeah, 2005.
I mean,
20 years.
yeah,
20.
20
Yeah,
years.
sorry.
He was big time yesterday. Like he doesn't look like a rookie when he's back there. He's calm, he's poised. He doesn't lose anything when he's under pressure. He's very like in the moment. So uh it was cool to watch him uh lead the team to a win yesterday. Um but yeah, I just think, you know, going forward, I think Austin Eckler is actually a huge part of what they do. Like he's
Mm-hmm.
having him back is big for them and that offense. And I think he's a huge help as a veteran to Jaden Daniels being in that backfield with him and being able to help him through whether it be picking up blocks or being out there as a receiving back on a check down. So uh I love that team having Eckler back. uh Terry McLaurin remains one of the most underrated receivers in all of
Yeah.
football. I absolutely love Terry McLaurin. I think he's easily one of the best in the sport, and I think it goes unnoticed by a lot of people. But uh, yeah, I think they looked good. Like I think a lot of people thought Tampa Bay would win that game yesterday because of the fact that you had a rookie quarterback in there. But they look good and they were able to come away with the win. And I think that going into that game next week is going to be interesting with the with Detroit. So
June? We will work on getting June right back. The game in Arizona did kick off. No scores just yet, but we are about 2 minutes into this game, a little over 2 minutes into the game. Do we have a line on that?
2.5.
Not tonight's game. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Detroit minus 8.5. Too many points. Too many points. Kev, too many points.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. What is the over under 55? That's a big number. I was gonna say the over under, but it's the playoffs. Like 55.5 in the playoffs is such a big number. Uh that's interesting.
Hold
Yeah.
on 1 second. I got you, but they don't. And June is back. We got you.
All right, appreciate it. Yeah, Kev, to your point, two of the games went over. That well, matter of fact, one only no, none of the games went over 55, right?
Uh
I actually don't think
don't
so.
think so. No.
No, but you're talking about the Lions here, right? And that's why. Excuse me, I gotta sneeze.
Bless you.
Excuse
God
me.
bless you.
Bless.
Thank you. Speaking of the Lions, it's like that's why I said Philly would have to score 30 points to beat them because that team puts up points. You know what I'm saying? So they're giving them a good chunk of that 55 and seeing, if the other team can respond. I had one more point on the Tampa Bay game. I know we're probably done with that one, but you look at the team stats and opportunity was the name of the game here. Fourth down, 3 of 5 conversions for Washington to 0 for Tampa Bay. Uh, Time of possession, 35-26 to 24-34. And then total plays, uh, which was 69-44. So because I'm looking at Baker Mayfield's stats, I'm saying, how the hell did he only have 17 throws? You know what I'm saying? And they ran the ball 18 throws. They ran the ball 17 times with,
Yeah.
Irving, 18 with Irving and White. Baker had himself 7 carries. But I'm like, yo, that's only 25 carries total. How do you only have 18? You know what I'm saying? 15 of 18, 2 touchdowns, 180 yards. That's like on pace to a great game. And they just again didn't have the enough opportunities to go and win this game. And a big part of that was that drive that they fumbled, which was also another opportunity, turnover battle, 1-0, that eliminated, say, a long drive they could have went on for that, another 8 to 10 plays or so. So
Yeah, this is the Baker Mayfield that was what, number 2 in touchdowns this year behind that man in Cincinnati, Joe Burrow. So it like you said, it just didn't have the opportunities
yeah,
to close this game out, losing again 23-20. Hey, Commanders plus 8.5. Sprinkle Commanders money line. I'm calling it right now. It's gonna be a shootout. Commanders plus
sprinkle
8.5.
Commanders money line.
Sprinkle Commanders money line. They might lose by 7, but they ain't gonna lose by more than 8. Gentlemen, you
That's
got
real.
you got anything else either you want to go over before we get out of here?
Rams just scored on a 4th and 1 from the 5-yard penalty on the Vikings on an offside, and then they score on the next play. So early 6-0 lead,
7
7-0
nothing. Yeah,
extra points good.
officially.
So gonna look forward to go watching that, and also Sasaki can suck it. Just tell us you're going to the Dodgers already.
That's great. That's
Hey,
great. Hey, real quick though, I did want to not to get too boring on y'all. I know we was about to wrap it up, but we did get a comment. DY3 want to know our thoughts on one of the coaches, McCarthy. McCarthy is out as Dallas head coach. Mike Vrabel is in as Patriots head coach, and
facts.
Jacksonville has also fired Doug Peterson. Doug Peterson being a guy who, again, that 30-0 comeback they had on the Chargers in the playoffs. They started the next season after that 8-3, and since then, the beginning of 2023, after 11 games, they've gone 5-18. That's just losing football, losing recipes. Grandma wouldn't be proud. Gotta,
Yeah.
get rid of that. It looks
Kev, you
like.
want?
Go ahead.
No, to say, Kev, you want McCarthy in New York, or are you good off that?
Nah,
Ooh,
I'm
he's
all
not
right.
touching that. I think with the Giants, I'm just kidding, but
I do. I think it's gonna be Aaron Glenn though at the end of the day. But
Glenn would be nice. Glenn would be nice in New York. Unfortunately, I feel like he would come under heavy scrutiny after the first year, but it would be a nice coach to get you out of there. What do you guys think about Mike Vrabel though, real quick? Because I agree with the signing. I mean, I think Mike
Yeah.
Vrabel is a all-star head coach. Somebody you want in your locker room. He's familiar with the organization, and so he understands what it is to be a patriot, a champion, and how to do things maybe with a new twist. I'm assuming Jared Mayo fired after one season. Quick thoughts, guys, because it's easy to pull the "we know why" card, and I think there's some of that to it, but I do as
oh,
well.
I know why, and I'll tell you why right now. The NFL is gonna have to do some investigating here because tell me how Mike Vrabel interviewed by the Jets 2 days later, not even Gerard Mayo is fired, and then all of a sudden Mike Vrabel gets a job. I mean, I don't know. The NFL is gonna have to do some digging on this one, but I'm pretty sure that interview is taken in jest to get the Patriots to say, "Oh shit, we better make a move because we want Vrabel actually. We could have hired him.
Mm.
We could have just hired him last year, but we didn't. But whatever.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna say. I agree with the signing. I mean, he is the best, or was the best candidate for a head coach while he was still on the market. But yeah, man, you should have hired him last year and let him, go through the ups and downs of what an ugly season last season was for the Patriots. Because I guarantee you, he would still have a job right now,
Listen,
right?
the Patriots are now in that era of poverty where they are going to go from coach to coach to coach. Mike Vrabel, Derrick Henry ain't walking through that door. So you're not gonna figure it out in New
Strap
England
up.
either. I heard this
Strap
story
up.
3 years ago with Mac Jones. He's the next Tom Brady. He's the best. Look at him. He's great. Drake May ain't gonna work out. You're gonna be drafting the quarterback in 3 years. You're gonna be hiring the coach in two, and then it's gonna be a shit show in New England again, and it's gonna be great. Go Jets.
As far as McCarthy is concerned, I think that's just the Jerry show, kind of continued next episode. Not letting you talk to other teams, knowing that they're not going to re-sign you, letting him be a lane,
Fucked up, bro.
a lane duck, as they call it in the NFL, where you're
Fucked
just
up, bro.
on your last season with no renewal. It's completely fucked up. He's burned his bridge, but hey, once again, we already talked about this. Jerry is not concerned with winning as long as Dallas is making him money. So I mean, it is what it is. McCarthy will land on his feet, and he will probably. I'll give you one better. He'll land on his feet, and McCarthy will be in the playoffs before Dallas is.
Like Dan Quinn.
You guys got anything else you want to go over?
No, man, we got great football coming up this weekend. Just
Facts.
stay home and watch. That's what I encourage you to do. Save money, stay home, watch
And
football.
watch, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, as we cross over this hour 13 mark, almost 14 mark. This has been your Monday, Tuesday. Damn, it's Tuesday,
Not
right?
Monday, Monday,
It's
Monday.
Monday.
Just Monday.
I'm
It's just
tripping.
Monday.
Your Monday night All Things Sports talk show on the All Things Sports Network, brought to you by Small Town Productions. Ticker up top, brought to you by ESPN Bet. If you tapped it on the live, thank you so much. If you're tuned in after the fact, wherever you can stream podcasts, we appreciate your time, and we will see you all on Thursday ahead of the divisional round.